Well, again, John Merrifield with serious academics with a sense of humor, looking at yet another infrastructure issue, this time water reservoirs. Okay? How big should we build them, and how should we use them so as to maximize economic efficiency? Okay, so what are some of the issues here? What's the key issue? We're not talking really peak and off-peak here, which is a normal infrastructure issue. We're talking about it's sometimes wet and sometimes dry. And of course, we could build a mega reservoir. We wouldn't care from one year to the next, whether it was wet or dry. We have so much capacity in there that we can just price every year as a normal year. Most reservoirs aren't that big that where we can just say there's enough water stored in here that by the time we run this thing down, if we ever get that close, there'll be some biblically wet year and it'll fill back up again. That's likely, but that's not a risk that a lot of water managers would take in the latter stages of a major drought. Okay, so what we want to do then typically is to take into account whether it's been dry and forecasts are looking like it's been dry, or whether it's wet and looking like it's going to be wet and the reservoir is full. So what we want to do in the wetter or normal years is we want to have a little bit of a surplus, okay, so that it builds up for when the dry year comes, okay? And then in the dry years, charge a higher price to make sure that we don't get ourselves in real trouble in case we really draw the reservoir down big time and run out of water. So we throw out our little graph. I drew more of it in advance this time because there's a little bit more going on here. We draw our graph to be able to discuss the double whammy. I don't think that's an economics term. But that's what it is, the double whammy of a drought, because two things happen. Demand increases, right, because your lawn and your landscaping and all that demands more water, plus your pool, if you have one, or the city has one, has to be refilled more often, more evaporation, more demand for the use of the pool during drier periods, all of that. So there's increased demand during a drought. And I see gasp. Oh, no, I didn't. It's just about the gasp, but I hadn't labeled my demand line. See, this is demand, severe drought, supply, severe drought, and then there's normal demand, and S sub n, where my finger is there, normal supply. All right, so if we set the price to generate a little bit of a surplus in the normal year, to have the reservoir filling up a little bit, so that it'll be able to be drawn down some in the drier years. We look then at point A and B. Right, there we are. See, I'm going the wrong way. It's the mirror to me. Okay, so there's our normal year surplus. Okay, but if we don't raise prices, see, then we're going to have a big shortage once they have the demand at a severe drought level. To have demand continue at the normal level during the severe drought, we'd have to be way up here at point F, charging a price at what we would call P star. I ran out of symbols to use, so I hazarded P star. I guess that's an optimum if we want to maintain normal use in drought conditions. If, however, we take account of the severe drought issue, okay, putting ourselves at point E, we don't need to, if we've saved up some water, right? See here, the issue here at point F is that's if we just want to maintain that. That's it. But if we've saved up some water, increase the supply for the severe drought, then we only have to charge at P double prime over there. All right, so there's the essence of that. We have a big shortage between B and G. Between A and G if we don't price according to time. And the mega reservoir issue, the bigger we build the reservoir, the more storage capacity that we have, the closer the S sub D line is to the S sub N line, the more they pinch together, and the less that you have an issue of charging more during some years than others and having smaller quantity purchased in some years than others. That'll do it for this little snippet.